My name is Jean Tiberio, and I want to welcome you to Healing Outside the Box. This is episode 281. In today's episode is going with the theme of weight loss surgery, and I'll be discussing choosing alternatives to weight loss surgery. Do incentives work? Now, I happen to be an RD-trained nutritionist and wellness coach, and basically what I'm doing here is searching various sources of information and forming an opinion about whether or not it's worth passing on. Something that is definitely worth passing on is this. I'm reading more and more about the beneficial effects of broccoli and cabbages on inflammation, joint pain, brain chemistry, and possibly even more. The substance that we're basically talking about is called sulforaphane. Now, sulforaphane is a natural plant compound that has shown incredible health-boosting potential in numerous studies. It may help lower inflammation, protect your heart and brain, and improve detoxification. Now, this sulforaphane is found in cruciferous vegetables. Although they have a fancy-schmancy name, they're pretty common everyday vegetables. These vegetables are popular here and readily available. Also relatively inexpensive. I recently heard myself saying, well, if you don't like broccoli, how about coleslaw? In other words, most people can find something they like in this category. The highest sulforaphane levels are found in broccoli, and even higher in broccoli sprouts, also cabbage, all kinds, Brussels sprouts, bok choy, kale, arugula, and collard greens. I didn't see spinach on the list in this article, so I looked into spinach separately. Spinach has some sulforaphane, but it's even a better source of anti-cancer compounds as well. And who doesn't want those? By the way, the beneficial effects of sulforaphane does not really apply to frozen broccoli because the freezing process comes after a flash boil, and the boiling destroys a lot of this sulforaphane. If you cook the broccoli from fresh or use broccoli sprouts, that is a better bet. They also mentioned that you can activate the sulforaphane by either chewing, which you would normally do anyway, or chopping it up before swallowing. And that's pretty easy to do. There was another study that looked at the pain levels of people who ate a lot of cabbage and/or broccoli. The people who ate the cabbage and/or broccoli reported improvements in their joint pain when they suffered with osteoarthritis. Am I implying that there may, in the future, be alternatives to pain meds for chronic pain? You betcha. We're only skimming the surface of brain chemistry at this time. This whole sulforaphane thing is worth doing a separate episode on, and I will work on that in the next couple of weeks. Meanwhile, let's get back to part 3 of the pros and cons of weight loss surgery. Today I'm focusing on alternatives to the weight loss surgery. Now, we all know that losing any significant amount of weight is extremely difficult. I think most, if not pretty much all of us, need assistance or some support to succeed, given the fact that our industrial food supply is not helping to make matters easier. I've mentioned in the past that I was part of a team studying a protocol for a cholesterol-lowering drug called Lopid. During the first 8 weeks, the patients enrolled in this drug study had a weekly visit with the nurse and dietitian, i.e. me. There was a lot of positive reinforcement and TLC involved. The patients were encouraged to ask questions and engage assistance from the nurse and myself. To no one's surprise on the team, the program of intense weekly involvement and positive reinforcement led to great success with both weight loss and cholesterol numbers. Can we afford to give everyone who wants it weekly online assistance and positive reinforcement for lasting behavior change? In my opinion, we really can't afford not to. We are spending too many healthcare dollars chasing our tail, trying to cut out organs and clogged blood vessels, when chronic disease sets in. So that right there is a no-brainer, in my opinion. Insurance companies, especially Medicare and Medicaid, should be paying for online health and wellness coaching or just nutrition counseling for anyone who wants it. The government should just take the reins and make it happen. So now let's talk about incentives. Near the end of part 2, I brought up the subject of incentives, both positive and negative, for losing weight without surgery. I'll give you an example of each. A positive incentive would be allowing food stamp or SNAP recipients to have an additional $40 of SNAP money on their card if they purchase produce at the farmer's market. In other words, free food on top of the SNAP money that they're already getting. This has been initiated in the state of Massachusetts, and it is very successful. Since billions of dollars are handed out in USDA tax dollars for industrial corporate farmers, I don't understand why the positive incentive program to get free local produce has not been extended to the entire population. I have to ask myself, how many years do we have to prove that it is successful to help people eat healthier and save money before we extend the same benefit to everyone? I think that decision is long overdue. I am putting a link in the show notes that describes the Healthy Incentives Program, or HIP, in Massachusetts. I encourage you all to look at it if you want to pick up a program in your state. That's because this is a legislative bill that was accepted federally, so in all 50 states. It's up to each state to take it on. The law has already been passed and the money has been allocated. That link will also send you to a website that lists all the food that you can get for free if you're eligible for SNAP. It includes fresh and frozen fruits and vegetables, plants and seeds, and fresh herbs and nuts. You can also get canned tomatoes, frozen berries, and starter plants for your garden. If this program can be extended to everyone, think what a difference it would make to have an additional $40 to $60 worth of free healthy food every month. In Massachusetts here, it has been extended to serve SNAP recipients year-round for all local farmers who wish to participate. I just got a full box of free produce, which included oranges, peppers, 4 of them, butternut squash, zucchini, cucumber, pickling cukes, cherry tomatoes, cider, and basil. And again, this HIP program is part of the USDA, which is a federal agency. The only thing that is keeping all 50 states from receiving this free food is for someone to apply for these benefits and follow through. I just noticed in our state there's an agency called Coastal Food Shed, and it's offering a virtual marketplace serving southern Massachusetts and Rhode Island. You can pick up or have free produce delivered if you're from that area. Now, this is New England in the winter. We still have a free produce pickup once a month. Think what we could do in the Deep South with all 50 states participating. Next question. Is providing free healthy food effective at helping people shed pounds? Well, yes, it is. Researchers at New York University did a study comparing different types of positive incentives. They gave everyone in the study free passes to their local Weight Watchers, so everyone gets that. Then they split up into 3 groups. They had a control group getting only the free Weight Watchers pass. Then they had test groups getting either $400 in cash if they lost 10 pounds, about 5% of their body weight. The third test group got about $400 in free healthy foods. Here are the results. About 40% of the participants in the 2 test groups successfully lost the weight, but only about 20% of the control group, getting only the Weight Watchers pass, lost their weight. As it turns out, cash works as an incentive, either straight out payments or $400 worth of fresh, healthy food. Now, if you're thinking, where are we going to get this money? Well, remember that physicians and hospitals make about $50,000 to $100,000 for each person that undergoes weight loss surgery. That money almost always comes from federal tax dollars. Taxpayers usually pay the bill because most of these people cannot afford to dish out even 20% of that money. In my opinion, that was not surprising at all. If we give people healthy food free of charge, why wouldn't they eat it? The more interesting question is this: do negative incentives work? An example of a negative incentive might be a 10% tax on soda or high-fat junk food. So if we try to give people incentives to not eat a certain food, say a sugary snack, will those people substitute with a deep-fried snack? Or will they choose an apple or other healthy snack? This brings up the issue of perceived deprivation. I often tell my orange story, and basically it goes like this. When I was in the hospital working with renal or kidney patients, they couldn't have potassium, so oranges and bananas were restricted. And that is exactly what they craved. They would write in an orange or banana on their menu so they could get it on their food tray. As you might have guessed, there is a lot of interest in this question. At least 25 countries have experimented with a tax on sugary sodas. It could be seen as a win-win situation. The first year following the introduction of the so-called Berkeley soft drink tax, the result was a 10% reduction in sales of those targeted soft drinks. But they didn't drink other sugary drinks because they increased their water intake instead. And that worked because people chose water, perhaps because they're thinking in terms of improving their health. In other words, they were motivated to think healthy. Researchers tried a fat tax on sticks of butter with mixed results. They reduced their saturated fat intake and the vegetables increased, but for some reason the fruit decreased. Also, salt increased. So some may have been substituting with Doritos or some other salty snack. Here is a quote from the researchers. Any health-related food tax should, therefore, be both carefully designed and closely evaluated to minimize these unintended consequences and maximize population health. Close quote. Here's another quote. In addition to their direct effects, the use of these policies alongside other public health strategies could further increase their impact, and the revenue generated could be channeled into other health-related interventions. Taxes alone will not solve the burden of diet-related ill health, but they will make an important contribution to shifting both industry and consumer behavior in the right direction. Close quote. Here's the bottom line. Positive and negative incentives can both work if managed correctly. So call your representative if they're not too busy picking their noses or fighting over who's boss, and encourage them to take advantage of the HIP program, available in all 50 states. Be well and stay tuned next week for another episode of Healing Outside the Box.